Hey everyone, Jack Devin here with Moonlight Tours, and this is a About Me video. I've had quite a few people wanting to hear my story, ask me, and so this is my attempt of letting you guys know more about who I am and what I do and what got me started into this. And um, to begin off with, or to start off with rather, is I grew up in a Victorian home built in 1886, which is actually rumored to have had tunnels connecting from that over to the Sequoia House, which is just down the street. And what's something really cool about that house is that the back of the property connected to the St. Patrick's Cemetery. So it was pretty cool finding that out as a kid. And all sorts of hauntings would happen, especially on full moons. My brother and I would frequently hear the neighing of horses during full moons, and something I really thought was cool then and now is there was this window, and as far as I know, it's still there. There was this window that during full moons, for about a 15-minute period, would shine directly through and light up the entire spans of the stairwell, even a good bit of the second floor. So that was pretty neat. Um, the old tying hitch posts, which are connected still to concrete, are actually still there, which is where the horses would get fastened up to. The house itself was old and it was creaky, but the downstairs, which was the rather the back of the house, was the master bedroom, and it's still there. And the instances there was my dad was once attacked and back there, and actually heard the giggling of women's voices. Little did he know that that was where the mistress's room was. And the the times when I moved into that room, the the shadows would seemingly move, and there was this plate glass, that door, and I would frequently see these movements. And I always thought, and to a point even now, I do still now believe that it was just the shadows and the trees and stuff like that, but I would feel and see dark forms moving in that room, and I would frequently feel as if something was in that room with me. And so it made for some really restless nights of not being able to, about being able to sleep. Um, as I got a little older, I was able to start walking home from elementary school and hearing all these different ghost stories and stuff, some of which I still tell on the tours, a lot of which I don't, because there's just so many other stories, different locations. But the stories that I really enjoyed were from the Pearson Soda Works, and that used to be the Cosmic Cafe. And I would take my sweet time trying to get home because I just didn't want to do chores. I mean, I only made $7 a week, so what do you expect? Allowance. But anyways, so it was fun. I had a really great time growing up and stuff like that. And as time went on, I learned more about history and other things like that. And it was only in the last couple of years I really got into what is it that I want to do? What is it that I really want to do? And I was actually having a career shift, as it were, and I remember I I'm just gonna say it. I I was working for Napa Auto Parts, and I decided, you know what, this just isn't for me. So I'm gonna look for another job, and I left. And it wasn't what I thought, so I decided to leave the new place that I was at only after a day. Oops. And it was as if the universe was conspiring against me, but at the same time for me, that it is high time that I make my own destiny and I do what I should do, which is become a business owner. If I'm going to build something, why build someone else's business when I can build my own? And so I sat myself down and I went, what is it that I really want to do? Something that I won't get tired of, something that I love and can learn more about. And I really started going through and went, you know what? Back then, I was really into history. I would fall asleep to different documentaries and stuff. And I went, well, I grew up in an old house. There's history. I liked history. There's paranormal stuff that I experienced on my own that terrified me at the time. So what does all of this mean to me? And then it all seemingly clicked. And I have just been doing it since. I've had instances of activity even leading up to that, which was quite scary. I will say this, quite scary. My Rottweiler passed away a couple of years ago, and I felt like I was spiritually attacked. And the good thing about that horrifying week spans of having it to where I was being spiritually attacked. I even uh, I remember praying one night, and I could hear the cawing of these like crows or ravens outside my window, and it was late at night. It was midnight, 1 a.m., and it was day 5 or 6. I was so scared. This is before me doing my tours, and I remember the next morning, I call my cousin. I get some advice, and he gave me some really good advice to have a relationship with Christ and with Jesus, and so I did. I did. And more so recently, I've been making a better attempt in relationship with him, and I feel so much better. The thing about that thing with the ravens and the crows, though, is that next morning I could hear this bird's nest, which sounded kind of the same, and I tested it out. I went, is that the same birds from last night? And I went back into my room because they were squawking up a storm that day and that night too, but that day. And I go and replicate what had happened the night before, and I could not hear a peep. And I think it was a response to me asking to be saved. And I have asked that in the past, but people fall off of things as they do. But the big thing is coming back to it like I did, and I'm so grateful I did. Uh, when it comes to a lot of these spirits, I've come to realize the more I do this, the more instances where it proves itself to be true, is that a lot of the times these spirits aren't acknowledged. They are sometimes family members that want to come say hello to you. There's some spirits that like you, that gravitate towards you and just want to simply follow you home. And I know this kind of goes into crackpot stuff, but there's one story I want to tell you in such a way of speaking. It's not my story to tell. However, it is so good that I will. Now, I'm going to keep it anonymous. So there's a close family member of mine, and that person was little and was uh, going to sleep. They were about 7 years old, little, and again, I'm keeping it vague so you don't know who it is. But they were going to sleep, and they get this weird feeling, and they look up at the entry of their bedroom, and they see this woman standing there, dark hair, yellow dress with blue polka dots, I believe, and it scares that person, that kid. And so they throw the blanket over their head. A minute or two later, pulls the blanket down, and there's this woman just like this, right in their face, smiling ear to ear. This grotesque smile and grin, right that close. And that kid is so terrified, they throw the blanket over their head again and go to sleep. And in the morning, they go out and they see their mom at the kitchen table and says, I something happened last night. And the mom goes, well, what happened? And they go, I saw this woman in my room. And the mom goes, what did she look like? And they start describing her and what she was wearing. And the mom starts crying and goes over, grabs a family album, and riffles through some pages and says, I could feel my mom last night too. And showed the picture to that kid, and the kid goes, that's her. And she goes, when I was pregnant with you, she passed away. And so, excuse me. And so they just wanted to come over and actually see you. Excuse me. So what I'm getting at is not all of these experiences, not all of these instances of activity are bad. They sometimes are scary. Sometimes they're not comfortable. But so there you go. Anyways, thanks for letting me share these stories. And yeah, if you have stories of your own, I'd love to hear them. I absolutely would. So thanks for joining me. I don't know how to end it, so I'm just gonna end it. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys out there.